Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the channel. So there's a question I get asked quite a bit, and it's about magazines, right? It's about, do you paint your magazines? If you do paint them, how do you paint them? What type of magazines do you run? Do you run metal? Do you run polymer? Do you run... So, I figured I would just go ahead and make a video on it, on what I use and what I run, and my experiences, okay? So to start out with, I have an AR-15 mag here, okay? So AR-15 is all polymer, right? It's a polymer mag. They do make AR mags, and they make Glock mags. The last time I looked, they just made the Glock and the AR mags. They might make more now, but the last time I looked, that was all they made. But one thing I do like about this, there's a few things I do like about this, but one of the major things I like is these big knobs on the side, okay, with the grooves to go with them. So when you grip this magazine and you grab it and you're going to go pull it out, there's times where, you're trying to move or whatever, and you press that button and it doesn't release the mag all the way, and you've got all your force on it, you're trying to rip it out. A metal mag, if your hands are wet, you're going to slide right off. If you get that good grip on that mag, when you grab this, you know that you have a hold of it, and you know it's not going anywhere, right? So I do like these mags. And on the bottom here, the button's a 2, okay? So, I think that a lot of companies out there miss like little things for the consumer. Like little things like that, that's cool to me, okay? Might not be cool to you, might not be your cup of tea, but I think that's a pretty cool little deal, okay? Now, moving to the other side of the mag, it does say made in the USA on the other side. So these are made in the US. And, to have that big made in the USA on the side of that, I think it's awesome. To me, it shows that they're proud that they make them in the US. And, patriotism is, it's out there, but it feels like it's just not all the way out there these days. So for them to put that out there and put that on there, it's just really cool to me, okay? The only thing that I do not really like about this is, the polymer mags, all of them have like this kind of issue, but this one does have it as well, okay? Once you have this loaded and you've left it loaded for a little bit of time, the top up here will start to separate. And once it separates, there's no way to really get it to go back. So on a fully loaded mag, if you go to put this in on some of these that are stretched out like that, you're not going to be able to get the mag in, or you're going to have to force it in, right? Because you're going to have to tighten this back up as you're forcing it up in. So that is one of the downfalls for the polymer mags that I have found. But other than that, the AR-15 mags, I do run them. I have quite a few of them. They're a good quality magazine. Next up, I have the P mags. So the P mags, I used while I was in the service, and I've used them since I've got out. I just wish that they had a little bit more aggressive texturing on there. And P mags are pretty solid, except they do the same thing. They start to widen out up here if you leave them loaded for a long period of time. And this one here, I don't know if you can see that there, but see that line there? That's a crack, to where this magazine is actually broken from being either loaded for a long period of time or dropped or something, but it has broke right there at the top. So when this one is loaded, I don't use this particular magazine at all anymore, but when it's loaded, it does separate quite a bit. And it's just not, once they start to separate, if you go to drop them, or if you drop them and there's rounds in there, the top round will pop out. The wider they are, the harder they are to get in, into the mag well. But, the P mags have been pretty strong for me over the years. I do have a handful of those. I run those as well. So, I do like the metal mags quite a bit. They last. Some people argue, well, they rust, and well, yeah, anything metal is going to rust, but if you take care of it and you keep a nice little light coat of oil on there or something, or you clean it every once in a while like you're supposed to, or take the spring out of the magazine and clean the inside of the magazine like you're supposed to, You know, the metal ones will last quite a bit. They will last quite a long time. So, my last one, but this is my favorite, is the Lancer mags. So, the Lancer is a polymer mag as well, and it has all this texturing in here too, to where you can grab it. You got a hold of it. Your hand's not gonna slide off of here too much or nothing. They do make ones that are like clear, see-through almost. I have one that I think they call it smoke, but it's like a gray, like a darker gray color, but it's see-through, and you can see all the rounds inside the magazine, which I think is pretty cool. Then I have an FDE one like that as well. So the Lancer does have quite a bit of different colors and options to see through and not see through and all that. It is my favorite. Now, the only thing I will say, or the one thing I will say about the Lancers, is if they are fully loaded and you try to go load them into the firearm, they won't load with a quick clip, right? You actually have to smack the bottom of them to get them to lock in. Let me know if you have the same issues with them, or not issues, but the same little thing with them as I do. I have quite a few of these, and they all do the same thing. So, maybe, I don't know if it's just the ones I have or if everybody has the same issue. The other thing about this, though, is that it's polymer, but this up here is all metal. So I have not had one of these separate on me to where the mags will fall, or the round will, knock out if you drop the mag, or, widen out to where it's harder to put it up into the mag well, or whatever the case. But these are my favorite magazines out of all the ones I've tried. So the polymer ones, it's plastic. It's going to stretch over time. But, if I could choose between a polymer and a metal, I'm going to take the polymer mags personally. I just tend to like them quite a bit, and all of the polymer mags I've seen, they have the texturing on them, and it just gives you a good chance to get a good grip on there and go. So I was gonna hit painting the mags too. So these are both rattle can. They're rattle can with Krylon specialty camouflage paint. Okay. I painted them because I had them for a while. The polymer starts to look, dingy a little bit, or, all scarred up like this is up here, or whatever the case. So I just wanted to give them like a little bit of a fresher look, I guess. So I just went ahead and painted them this green. The one thing that I will say about painting magazines is when I paint my magazines, I take them all the way apart. You take the floor plate off, you drop the spring out, you drop the follower out, and paint them that way. The reason being is, for me, is you paint all the pieces. They all get a good coat on them. They're all good to go. Now, you can leave them together, I guess, if you paint them, but once you take them apart, or, you get a nick down here or something, or you can see through the crack, or whatever the case, you're going to see the different colors, and there's a potential, I don't know really how much of a potential, but it could stick, right? The paint could make the floor plate stick. So when you try to take it apart, it might stick a little bit. I just personally take everything apart when I paint them. Okay, that way I hit all the edges nice and evenly. I don't have to worry about nothing crazy. They can just get painted and put back together. Another thing I do is I tape off the parts that are going to go into the firearm. Hence the reason this is still black. The reason I tape it off and leave that the way that it is, one, you're not going to see that once it's put in the firearm. You're not going to see that black on there, right? But if you paint that and that paint starts to chip, it's going to end up in your mag well. If it ends up in your mag well, it's going to end up in where your bolt and stuff is, right? And you don't want paint chips up there. So that's the reason that I tape them where I do and paint them the way that I paint them. I've had a lot of people ask me that, so I just figured I'd share with just how I do it. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to really do it. And it's just like anything else out there. You can have 6 people telling you to do it one way, and 5 people telling you it's the wrong way, and whatever, But that's just the way that I personally do it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching the videos. and I'll see you next time.